Hello, and welcome to 5-Minute Math. Today we are looking at the Algebra 1 concept of attributes of quadratic function graphs. This is standard A.7A in the great state of Texas. We are using item number 15 of the 2025 released STAAR test. This is a new item type called hotspot. If you haven't done so already, please go ahead and take a moment to pause the video, work this problem out on your own, unpause it, and we will look at our answers together. All right, so this is a 1-point problem. We've seen hotspot before, but it's not nearly as common as some of the other new item types like drag and drop or graphing. And so we need to select one correct answer, and literally what we're going to do is we're just going to tap one of these points here. Now you notice that you can only select one. So if I select this one right here and select another one, it's going to deselect that first one and automatically select the second one. So you have to select one. If you select nothing, you are going to get an error message before you try to move on saying, are you sure you don't want to answer it? And so we're just going to select one of these points, and that's how that hotspot works. All right, so this is a vocabulary question because we are looking at a quadratic function, and we're looking for the y-intercept. And if you know what a y-intercept is, then this is probably going to be a very easy problem for you. Y-intercepts are the same whether the graph is linear, quadratic, or exponential. And so let's pretend we don't know what y-intercept is. Let's take a look at what points we have here. So is there anything interesting happening with this graph? Well, I'm noticing at these 2 points right here, and I'm going to label these points as -3, 0. And then this one right here is going to be 1, 0. We notice that they both cross the x-axis because we can see that we've got our x-axis there, and also our y value is 0. So they're crossing the x-axis at those points there. And so that is actually going to be an intercept. Those are going to be intercepts, but those are going to be what we call our x-intercepts. And that's because they intercept or cross the x-axis. Now, these x-intercepts in quadratics have a few different terms. Sometimes we'll call them zeros. We'll call them zeros because it's the x value that you need, right, to make f of x equal 0. So you're trying to figure out what can you make your x value to make that y equal 0. Sometimes we'll call them solutions. And so there's a lot of different terms for those right there. Now, those are the x-intercepts. We're looking for the y-intercept. There's one other interesting point here, and it's this one. And you notice it's at the very bottom, right? So this is going to be at point -1, -4, and then on either side of this, the graph increases. Okay, so we can call this two different things. We can call this point our vertex, and it is our vertex, and we've got our axis of symmetry running right through here, right? And this is our axis of symmetry. This is x equals -1 is the axis of symmetry, always goes through the vertex. We can also just simply call it our minimum. We call this our minimum because the graph never gets lower than that. That's our minimum value. We've got these 2 points, which they're just points. There's nothing special about this point or this point. Except for, this first point on the left is equal to that other point, so they look like they're the same. But on second thought, and this is where, if we have a vocabulary, it should be a little bit interesting, that's actually crossing our y-intercept or our y-axis, and this is at point 0, -3. So even though they're not on the x-axis and they're not at the minimum, this one does cross. And so when it crosses, that is going to be our y-intercept, and that is our answer.